Oh,
hey, I didn't
hi.
even realize we had started. All
Yeah.
right. I'm interested in this. Let us begin this episode by saying
Yeah.
Merry Halloween to all of those out there right now.
It's on Sunday.
Yeah, it's in roughly like 26 hours it
Or
starts.
something like that. Yeah, we're recording late as fuck today. We had to move a couch, and that took 8 hours.
Yeah, it did. It took about eight and a half on a good day.
You know how moving couches is, everybody.
But we are back with a brand new episode for you guys to round out the month.
It's true, because that's Grant and I'm Jake, and we are starting a cult. Mitch is here.
Ooh, yeah.
And Navi is outside ready to bust through the fucking door.
Like a fucking angry police officer from the 30s. Just kick this shit in and just look around.
He's got a baton now. We got him a baton.
Yeah, he will be dressed as a shark on Sunday. Well, more importantly, he'll be dressed as a dog being eaten by a shark.
Oh, yeah.
He's not entitled. The shark is consuming him, you know?
Yeah. Isn't that terrifying?
But, so, Halloween is here. It's come and gone probably by the time a good chunk of people listen to this, I'd imagine.
But
we're moving on. We're going through November. We're going to be hitting Christmas soon. Kwanzaa, I don't know when that happens, but it's probably around the same time. Hanukkah. What about Ramadan? Or not Ramadan, Tet.
We got all of it.
That's a thing, something about Tet.
It's all coming up.
A bunch of holidays are coming up, so get ready for that. We're going to bring in the holiday season and kind of round out the Halloween season with an extended series, I'd say.
Yeah, this is definitely 2, maybe 3 parts.
Yeah. We're looking at a hefty chunker here, both physically and metaphorically in this sense. But today, if you couldn't read the title, if maybe the name threw you or something, I don't fucking know.
It's pronounced Alistair.
Alistair
Crowley. But Ozzy says Crowley. So we're just going to say either or.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I had never actually heard it pronounced until, honestly, within the last year, I'd say. So, though, any time I'd ever refer to him, it was Alistair Crowley. That was just what I was familiar with.
No, yeah. I'm probably going to be saying that.
Yeah, so just don't be nitpicky out there. You'll understand.
You know.
We're coming from a place of not knowing who this fucking guy is personally. So we might say his name wrong a few times.
He's old as shit. Yeah, he died a while ago.
But it will be our new series. It'll be, like Jake said, 2 episodes, possibly a third. We'll see how far we can get without, I'll tell you this. It's one of those things we were talking about today, kind of like where should the stopping point be, right?
And it's kind of before he even gets into what he's known for.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to pump the brakes on this guy. It's just
hilarious situation after hilarious situation.
Yeah, it starts and it just flies off the handles and it doesn't stop. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little beefy intro into Alistair himself.
We're bringing the brisket.
We are going to have a good time. There'll be plenty of weird shit you'll hear. And as the series goes on, I think you'll realize why it took us a while not only to get to this guy, but also why we chose to do it this time of the year.
It's true. It's true.
So I guess without further ado, should we hop right into this monster?
Oh, yeah.
To this
Grant. Oh, yeah.
Beast, if we say.
Yeah, he is the beast. You know what? You know what I'm saying? Alistair Crowley.
Oh, that's the episode.
And that's it.
It's just Alistair
That's
Crowley. See you guys later.
It's the name. He's arguably one of the most well-known actual magicians in history. So isn't that, aside from maybe Merlin?
Yeah,
Houdini is not. He was an illusionist, Mitch.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's an important distinction I want to make here and now. Mitch is playing the role of the audience here, right? He says it. He's like, "What about Houdini? Maybe David Copperfield? I don't know."
Oh yeah. What about him?
Well, the thing with that is that those guys, or if you've ever seen that show, it was really popular among our age group for some reason. But that show, like Breaking the Magician's Code.
Where it just shows you how to do magician's tricks.
Yeah.
Like, secretly, there's a door here. But no one even pays attention to that.
Right. That's not real magic. And I'm not talking Harry Potter wand-waving, mind-reading magic. We're talking about, in a nutshell, before... I mean, obviously, we'll cover this a lot more in depth, but we're talking spiritual... weird controlling mental capacity,
occult,
dark energy, weird shit.
Right and left hand path, all these things.
Yeah, just really weird stuff that these guys do not do. Houdini, Copperfield, people like that, they are, as Jake said, illusionists.
Yeah.
Because there's no real magic in what they do other than the magic of not really letting you see how things are done.
Yeah. But again, we're not even going to be getting to that in this episode today.
No.
But that's just who he was, okay? He was widely known as the Great Beast 666. That was his title.
Numbers in your name, and it's not like the third.
And you're not like Elon's kid or something.
Well, that dude's just a fucking... I'm going to say it here, and I've been saying it for years. Elon Musk he's a jerk off. That's just what it is.
I've been saying this for years.
The guy's just he's a chode. And it's not anything personal against the guy. I just don't trust anybody that has more money than me.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. He has more money than
I simply cannot
anybody.
trust them because I'm like, you have things that I don't have. You have reason to lie to me.
Yeah.
I just assume every rich person is a liar.
Probably.
Notwithstanding, let's continue.
Right. Okay, Aleister Crowley. All right, yeah. Great Beast 666. He was a really well-known magician. He was also, he was an occultist, a ceremonial magician, a poet, a painter, a novelist, and a mountaineer who also just so happened to found a religion, placing himself within it as a prophet who would usher in the Aeon of Horus.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. But like with most episodes like this one, we're going to start from the very beginning. Grant, okay? Edward Alexander Crowley. It was what he was born.
He looked like the fourth Stooge.
He did. Wait, the fourth? He kind of just looks like Curly, honestly.
Yeah, but I feel like if you threw him into the show as like the fourth Stooge, and not obviously he's not Shemp, but if you threw him in as the fourth Stooge, it'd be like, yeah, I'd buy it.
I would watch those fucking episodes.
He's Curly's like cousin from like, I don't know, Romania or some weird shit.
Something. But yeah, so he was born Edward Alexander Crowley, and he was born on October 12th of 1875 in Royal Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, England.
What a cool fucking place. We're just from like one-word towns. So like this is like a fucking buffet of words.
Gary. It's like, all right, well, that's one thing.
That's just the guy's name. This
place is like a workout to say it.
Royal Leamington Spa.
In Warwickshire, England. To his parents, also Edward and Emily. Right, so the Crowleys were an extremely wealthy family due to their brewing business, and the family was made up of devout Quakers who thought that who, though they were like not allowed to drink alcohol, they heavily capitalized on manufacturing and distributing it.
Never get high on your own supply, you know?
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Good business people. Crowley ale houses were all over the country, apparently. They dotted fucking corners like 7-Eleven.
That's an interesting idea that like just fucking beer companies. So we got stores everywhere. They're just all over the place.
It's true.
That doesn't really happen that often nowadays. Now it's just like there's one location and it's in Pennsylvania if you want to go there. It's like, oh, no thanks.
Like, ooh, it's a road trip as well. Well, Edward's share of the family brewing business allowed him to retire before Alistair was even born. Just to give you sort of an idea of the wealth. So back to Alistair himself. When he came out of his mother, there were some notable features, okay? He had some weird shit about him when he came out of there.
He looked like a stooge.
He was bald. What a freak.
Making weird noises, and he was always going like, just doing weird, he's falling over chairs and shit. And always causing havoc and making messes.
Yeah, complaining about things. So he was born literally tongue-tied, causing him to have the connective tissue under his tongue, connecting it to the bottom of his mouth, snipped by a doctor only a few days after his birth.
It's like an oral circumcision.
Pretty much, yeah. It was just he couldn't move it. What else has he got? He got his tongue snipped. He also had what was known as a birth caul, which is a piece of the membrane still attached to the baby's head after birth.
That's kind of cool.
It's just some headwear.
That's just fucking taking it with you, dude. He's like, I came, I saw, I conquered, and I left with it, bitch.
It's hard to part with things like that. So apparently, what's it called? The
vagina.
The birth caul. The birth caul. In folklore, apparently it means the child is destined for greatness.
Ooh, okay.
And possibly the craziest claim upon his birth was that he had 4 chest hairs that formed a swastika.
That's just ridiculous.
And apparently it was like a Buddhist symbol for good luck at the time.
Yeah, obviously this is pre-Nazis. Yeah, I mean, it's not that symbol, but it's still like, what are the odds,
All these things, Aleister claimed, was indicative of the Buddha. And the only downside of these things was that his tongue disfigurement, the little snipperoo there, he would live his entire life unable to pronounce the letter R.
Really?
Which I had no idea. That's hilarious.
There's 2 R's in his fucking name.
Alistair Crowley.
It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
I imagine it's a W thing he's replacing it with, right?
Willie?
That's Willie Bad. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, he couldn't pronounce the letter R. So growing up, let's get into this guy's childhood. Mitch really likes the speech impediment.
Yeah, Mitch is cracking up here.
Mitch is crying in the corner.
He's been uncorked here. Uncorked.
All right, so growing up, Aleister started off as a well-behaved daddy's boy. Okay?
Ooh,
he loved his dad.
Boy.
He loved him. His father, though coming from a historically Quaker family, went on to join an even more extreme version of the Quakers known as the Plymouth Brethren. More specifically, the closed sect of them, who believed that that only the Plymouth Brethren would be permitted into heaven. Only the closed Plymouth Brethren. So it's a very select group of people.
So they're using a name. They're using a name of a group that they think is damned, and they're just like, we're the better version of this group.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. He was like, Quakers aren't quite intense enough for me.
It'd be like if Christianity rebranded itself as Atheism Plus.
Like a streaming service.
Yeah, it's like we're Atheists Plus.
Plus salvation.
Christians
idiots.
don't get into heaven, but Atheists Plus do. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. But that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So he thought he was just the shit, and he would with all the free time that he had from retiring so early, Aleister's father spent his days writing hundreds upon hundreds of religious pamphlets that he'd forcefully hand out on the street.
Forcibly,
he's like a
read this fucking pamphlet.
Super rich and powerful man, just writing religious pamphlets and going like, "Hey, sir, you read this and hear the Lord,
sir."
It's like crazy, dude.
Why are you not fucking reading my pamphlet? Don't you know I'm at the Plymouth Brethren Plus?
Yeah. Well, but he would also sometimes do this in a more official setting as well, bringing his son to all of his events. So Aleister was just with his dad. He was going, watching his dad yell at people about God. So this was Aleister's first insight into how much he loved and craved attention. He looked up to his father for his conviction and ability to control the attention of a room. So he's like, "Spotlight's on me, bitch."
He had what some would say the Rasputin pull, just like they got the attention,
Yeah, no, I understand. However, Aleister's time with his father was short because on March of 1887, when Aleister was only 11 years old, his father died of tongue cancer.
Fuck.
After claiming it was God's will to not receive any medical treatment at all.
They got some bad tongues in that fucking family, dude.
I
They
guess
just cannot
so,
catch
dude.
a
The
break.
tongues are a focal point of health problems.
Everything else is fine, but the tongue is the real issue.
Yeah. Well, it was after this tragic event that Aleister's whole personality seemed to shift. Once a nice, God-fearing and loving young man, Aleister almost immediately began despising the devoutly religious.
Oh, okay. See, that makes sense.
Fun?
He's super religious, but he's also super into his dad, and his dad's super religious, and his dad dies, and he's like, well...
Yeah, and he was like, oh, it's God's will, so it was probably due to that.
Religion...
It's like they took my dad.
Religion
God,
didn't do anything for me.
After I wrote that down that he couldn't pronounce R's, I just completely forgot and just pictured him speaking normally throughout all the rest of this.
No.
But we really have to...
He forgets...
We really have to be, authentic here.
He can't do it, He cannot do it. I miss my father. It's like, what?
Oh, God. Well, the only book that he had access to at the time was the Bible. And following his father's death, he began identifying with Satan rather than Jesus.
I love Lucifer.
Lucifer. Do you think he just like sort of like a New York Boston accent?
Yeah,
Lucifer.
A little bit. Lucifer.
My father.
I fucking love Lucifer, man. I don't understand.
Jesus fucking awesome. All right, so he's especially fond of the Book of Revelations. He loves that one. What with the great beast and the false prophet and what have you. Okay, he loved it. He identified with all of it. Crowley, looking back on his time at this time in his life, stated outright that though he was on the side of Satan, he was not a Satanist. Okay, he did not hate God, but rather he hated the God of those he hated. So he developed a hatred for the type of Christianity that was promoting like cruelty and hypocrisy. So the God that those people worshipped is the one he opposed with Satan. But he wasn't a Satanist.
This guy's
very confusing.
This guy's just your typical 18-year-old kid nowadays. That's just what it is. Back then it was just so strange. It was like you're not working and you're not dying of some horrible disease.
It's like no,
I just really don't like religion and I cannot deal with it.
It's like okay, man, whatever. He's rich. I mean, everything's fine. And with so many people, wait a minute, hang on. It was so many people in his mind being wrong about the nature of God. It only made sense that they were also wrong about the nature of sin, right? Because he was just like, I hate the way these people think God works. Sin's probably different too, is what young Aleister thought.
It's a pretty reasonable assumption, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like pretty high level thinking for such a young man.
Yeah.
And it was, I think.
It's very, especially for the time, that's very unique and kind of strange.
It is. But there were also instances early on in his life that kind of hinted at the possibility that Crowley might be on the spectrum for autism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
Yeah, he had a tendency to take any and all things literally.
Okay.
Very literally. Like at age 14, he heard mention of, cats have 9 lives.
No, they don't. I'll fucking kill this cat right here.
That's exactly what he did. He's like, to test this, he found a stray cat and began killing it in multiple ways.
I think one will just do it, just one way.
No, yeah. He included burning, poisoning, smashing, and many more, but he ended it by throwing the cat out of a high window of a building. But of course it was dead after the first thing he did. So he's just playing with a dead cat's corpse all day.
All right.
That's pretty much what it came down to.
It's science, okay? If you do this in the right instance, it's science. in his case, it's just weird, but it's science in the same.
It is. I
in
mean,
the same way.
He's in the pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah,
he really
yeah.
is. You know.
He's proving to the deniers out there, the 9 live believers, that shit just ain't gonna fly. You know.
Yeah.
It's just not right.
Yeah. No, it's true. And if that story wasn't a hint at this already, he also had a tendency to take things to the extreme in order to fully understand them. And
You don't say.
Yeah, this was also it was also introduced and exacerbated at the age of 14. So a Bible salesman was the one who introduced young Alistair to drinking, gambling, and women all at once. You know, all the sinful things. Alistair drank to excess and apparently took his newfound love for women back home with him. Because, still at the age of 14, Alistair supposedly seduced and had sex with a maid working in the home on his mother's bed.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I'll tell you this. I think, we use the term seduced lightly.
He probably raped this woman.
First and foremost, he probably had some form of, really strong rape vibes, as well as the fact that he's rich. He's rich as shit, and this is a maid. So it was probably just like, well, fuck it. What do I got to lose? This guy's rich.
It's kind of true, yeah. So, yeah, he's having sex with his maid, all these things.
There'll be more sex. Don't worry.
There will be plenty of more sex, yeah.
Almost an uncomfortable amount of sex, if you will.
Yeah.
It's like fucking boogie nights in this dude's life. Like, I swear, this shit is off the fucking chain.
So, the ultimate goal for Alistair at this point, and it would remain to be his goal for the rest of his life, was to discover and commit the unforgivable sin. Do you know what it is?
He probably already did it to that cat.
Maybe, but apparently he didn't even know. So he just spent, he didn't even know what it was, all right? He spent his entire life taken to the very idea of sin to its extremes in pursuit of it. Right? He was trying to like one up sin itself.
That's an interesting question here. What could be the ultimate sin? I feel like
the ultimate unforgivable sin, because you can just throw Hail Marys and be forgiven whenever.
Yeah, that's true. Like, what's unforgivable? At least in the, I mean, I say that like in terms of in the eyes of your religious belief,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy mutilated a cat and arguably assaulted a woman. What else is there? I don't know. Unless you assault the corpse of a woman.
I don't know. He's just doing like a buckshot sort of thing. He's like, let's just try everywhere, all over the map.
What should be something really simple, like adding chocolate powder to milk? That's the unforgivable sin.
God damn, we're all dead.
That's
everyone's going to hell.
It's the unforgivable. That's the one. That's the one. I don't ask.
Chocolate powder and
milk.
It
just is. You don't want to find out. Don't do it.
Any milk?
Syrup is okay though. Like if you do like the chocolate syrup,
But all right, okay.
If it's a powder mix, you're done for.
Fair enough. Mitch agrees. So all right. You know what? The instance with the maid, it was also Alistair's first insight into passing blame for his misdeeds, because when the maid eventually told her boss, which is Alistair's mom, about the antics in her bed, Alistair simply said that he was at the tobacconist at the time, and though he was punished lightly for that, the maid was fired for supposedly lying.
All right.
Kind of shitty, I'd say.
You say kind of, as in you're alluding to the fact that it might not be shitty, and I don't really know what to think, because I mean, I guess we'll say this: it's shitty, obviously, right? We know this. It's not good.
I think it's shitty.
But at the end of the day, it's also like he's 14? Like I guess what do you expect?
14 and a rich boy, yeah.
What do you expect? I mean, you go to fucking think of when you were 14. And you're in like school, or I don't know. I mean, I assume most 14-year-olds
disgusting.
are in school.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why didn't you do your homework?" Whoever tells the truth and is just like, I just forgot. It's like, oh my god, oh god, my dog was hit by a space shuttle.
And ate it.
It's like, are you sure? Like, that's just what happens when you're 14.
Yeah.
But it teaches you the lesson that you can lie. And in this instance, it did not help his character development.
No, yeah, he was a piece of shit rich kid who just found out about passing blame, and he pretty much did this the rest of his life.
Yep.
For anything. Nothing that he caused to happen due to his actions was his fault in his mind for the rest of his life.
Well, why would it be?
Why would it be? He's rich and he was at the tobacconist.
I'm Alistair fucking Crowley.
Do you know the Crowley name?
I'm fucking Alistair Crowley. Okay? do you understand?
Oh god. All right. So he was now on a track of misbehavior and literally seeking sin. Okay? So this is his path now. His dad died and everything went to shit. He's killed cats. He's fucking maids getting him fired. He's sinning. So this eventually led to his mother referring to him as the Beast. For the Great Beast 666, you know? And I thought that was fucking interesting because his mother called him that. And he kept it. He kept the name.
What a ridiculous nickname to give your own child.
Quakers, man, I don't know what it's like in one of their households. Especially a rich one. That's a lot of things I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, that seems like anti-Quaker
being
almost.
Rich, being super religious, all these things.
I don't
even have a maid.
I say let it ride. Let's see what happens, you know?
I guess so, yeah. His mother was the one who started that. How insane. Okay, so, and because he was such a handful, he was sent off to boarding schools. Multiple boarding schools, in fact. He wasn't, you'd think with all the misbehavior and sin and stuff that he'd be, like, kicked out of them for that. But no, he was just really bullied pretty hard.
I mean, as you can imagine. That's not like a fun thing. When you're a kid, that's not cool. Even when you're an adult, that's like, that's not cute. That's just weird. What's your real name?
What's the...
I'm the Beast. It's like, yeah, okay.
That's awesome.
So listen here.
You're not
Beast.
on the roll call here.
I have an Alistair Crowley. Can you say that back to me? No.
It's sad. All right, so yeah, he was just getting bullied a bunch, but he was also like just living to be a contrarian. So it was probably a mixture of kids bullying him, but also him kind of causing it, like egging it on a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, if you ever, I mean, maybe
complete 180 from being a good kid. So he's just going to be a piece of shit that's being bullied, probably for a good reason.
Yeah, he he was like that kid who was like the nerd, I guess you could say, in a movie fashion, that knew he was the nerd and like reveled in the fact that he was the nerd. And he wanted you to know, he's like, actually, that was him.
Just so you know, you're wrong, and I know why you're wrong. I'll tell you.
Yeah, like,
I'm going to tell you.
First off, people were
already...
No
one asked anything from
They were already put off by this fucking guy. And now he's doing this shit, and then he's adding on top. It's just, no. You're not going to make friends that way.
No, fuck that. Well, naturally, when a child is bullied, they look for some sort of escape in one sense or another. So Alistair, he found his. In the form of rock climbing. Or mountaineering, as some people call it.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
You like to climb mountains.
Mountaineering really makes it sound more cool. Not that rock climbing isn't cool, but when you say rock climbing, it's so
I think of people like in a gym on like rocks that are bolted into the side of the wall.
Yeah, and they're like, look, I'm climbing rocks. It's like, this was never a rock. This is plastic.
It's like, that's fine. But it's not the real thing. You know that, right?
Yeah, they didn't have this shit back then. That was if you were a rock climber, you were climbing rocks. That's what you were doing.
It's true. You were climbing real rocks. He found that he had a natural talent for climbing, and he would even do it without safety precautions. Like, he was a free climber. He was just climbing up mountains without a condom.
That's ape shit.
Like no safety at all.
That's ape shit. That is something that I don't really get that. That's a rough fucking hobby. It's like, you know what I love doing? Putting myself in danger, and then anything that could possibly save me, I don't use. Why would I?
You don't use it?
It's not fun.
Yeah. Well, Alistair didn't have a condom on. And he was climbing these mountains. There's no safety involved, Grant. Okay?
Caution to the wind, man. Caution to the fucking wind.
There you go. Through climbing, he became acquainted with a man named Oscar Eckenstein.
Ooh, okay.
Right. Okay, he would be the first to introduce him to the idea of magic.
Ooh.
To the still young Crowley. He's still pretty young. And magic would take root in Alistair's mind heavily, partially due to him looking at Eckenstein as a father figure. He was like 17 years older, I guess.
Yeah, he's just desperate for some type of, I guess, male figure in his life. That's what he needed.
Yeah, he's like, well, Dad's dead. Now I'll figure something else out on this mountain.
You're my new dad.
There you go. So
okay.
It was around this time that Alistair's family was beginning to pressure him, to choose a career path, suggesting he become a doctor. It's like, hey, you seem loving and caring and a nice guy. Become a doctor. He didn't want to, Grant.
It's probably a good thing.
He didn't want to do that.
Probably
Alistair,
good.
He had an undying passion for poetry that would just go into his entire life as well. He loved it. He outright refused to become a doctor. He was like, no, I'm going to write poems.
Good for him, I guess. I mean, right on.
I mean, that's what I did, but no one was pressuring me in any really, direction. And now I just have a podcast. But, he outright refused, and he just chose to wait until he was 21. Because, something I haven't mentioned yet, Crowley's father left him the equivalent to $7.3 million in his will.
Yeah, so this dude's balling out.
So, not yet, though. He waited till he's 21. Now he has access to it.
Oh.
And he just went head first into fucking spending it.
I mean,
all of it.
How could you not? Maybe not all of it, but how could you not go a little nuts?
Yeah, like you have like one fun day. You're like, I'm going to buy this aisle at Target. Like just all the stuff.
Anything that I feel like owning, I will just own today.
Pretty much.
That's just what I want.
He could have anything he wants. But, you know what he wanted? He wanted fine clothes. He got all the finest fucking clothes, a bunch of silks, a bunch of fucking curly bow ties, all these things. And he traveled all around Europe. All right? Just a huge vacation of it. And it was on New Year's Eve in Stockholm that he discovered a side of himself that he was previously unaware of. Grant?
The boner side?
I don't know. Well, on the stroke of midnight, he was also receiving some strokes.
Stroke boners.
Okay. Yeah, this was the first time Crowley participated in sexual acts with an individual of the same gender, and he was happy as a clam with his newfound bisexuality. Ooh. He was bottoming.
Ooh.
Specifically, bottoming. He loved it. He said it quote, to bottoming, the purest and holiest experience that exists.
Really?
Is what Crowley said this was.
This guy's really selling me. Maybe I should try it. I don't know. This guy's selling me on this.
Keep your mind open,
He is he's making it sound good. I can't say.
It can't get much better than that. I mean, the purest and holiest experience that exists.
And I mean, this is
like,
coming.
Are you shitting me?
Think of it this way.
That sounds awesome.
This is coming from a guy who's a millionaire, and this is the greatest thing in his life.
This is amazing.
I know I said I don't trust rich people, but there's something to trust about that one. I don't know. Maybe he's got a point. Someone tell me out there. I don't know. Maybe you've taken it in the rear end. Let me know. Tell me what it's like. Is it fun? Is it worth it?
Yeah, this one episode could just make our emails so interesting.
It's too late for me to turn back and try that now, but I mean, it's something to be like, you know what? Maybe I did miss out on that.
Grant, it's never too late to experience things.
I guess you're right, but I'm just... As funny as this is going to sound, I don't have the balls for that. I just don't. I just don't do it.
Well, to each his own. But just know you're missing out on the purest and holiest experience that exists.
Sometimes I'm afraid to poop because it hurts. You know, what am I going to do? How am I going to go the other way?
You're a coward with your own bowels.
I am, dude. I don't know.
Well, it could be said that his exaltation of this act also comes from the sinful aspect of it, right? So maybe an edgelord bit of a scenario here. He's like, this is so sinful. Great, so holy and pure. Not only was this sinful, but it was also against the law in most places in the world at the time.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to assume that when you say most places in the world, I think it was everywhere. I'm sure
it was just like it is today. It's just how people are.
I'm sure there were
some
places
people are gay
that didn't
or some
care.
people are bisexual. A lot of people. Everyone's fucking. That's for sure. Most people.
Yeah, everybody's gonna
most people are fucking.
That's how life is. And if you want, okay, let me put it to you this way: if you are interested in same-sex sexual relations, laws probably aren't going to stop you from doing that.
They didn't.
Just saying.
But I'm sure.
People want to fuck.
A lot of prosecution. Yeah, back then it was just so sinful, so taboo.
It was taboo.
Taboo. But he loved it. He said it was the purest and holiest experience that exists.
See that?
Okay.
That's
Bottoming
wild.
specifically.
It's wild to me. Can we talk about this? I know I'm going backwards just a hair, but it's really dawning at me now.
Yeah.
I don't know for a fact that the individual that he lost his anal virginity to was the guy who got him into magic, but I'm just kind of assuming that he had a part in that, right? Do we know that? Is that confirmable evidence?
I don't think it was Eckenstein.
Okay, so
I don't believe it was him. I think it was just a random hookup on New Year's Eve. You know how that goes.
I respect that, but I want to go back to Eckenstein for 1 second. Can we talk about how just strange it is that this guy who is 21 and he met someone 17 years, so we're talking about a damn near 40-year-old man whose hobbies included mountain climbing and magic. And he just happened to meet this fucking guy and was like, you know what, you'll be my new father. And that's just how life went for him. You know, it's like...
Yeah. Dude, magic found him.
Yeah,
magic found him in a way.
And then it entered his gaping anus, and it just filled him up, and he could never turn back. That's just what it was. He wanted it.
Yeah. Holiest experience indeed. Yeah.
I just think that's so ironic, the idea of the holiest. You know, it's just funny to me.
Oh, yeah. Makes you...
You know, because the butt's a hole.
Oh, yeah, it makes you think of the Pope and all that.
Well, yeah.
The people, he moves around all around the world.
You gotta say,
and the holes involved in that.
The Catholics do love and probably abide by a lot of what we just said. They really enjoy it. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but they just... God forbid you let them get married, but, you know, just any underage anus for them is good. That's just how, I mean, I know that's off topic, but let's call it what it is.
This is the worst aside we've ever had.
It is, but it's the most honest
we start
one.
talking about random stuff all the time, but now we're just like, oh, yeah. Christians are always raping people,
truly,
like little kids and shit.
And I don't even say
it's
Christians.
Not wrong.
I just say Catholics. There's something about Catholicism that when you gain power in Catholicism, you gain this weird ability to not see sex with a male. You being a male, sex with the same sex, it just isn't a sin for you anymore, but it is for everybody else. You know, it's like, why do I have to abide by that? You know, I'm not getting any. Let's just have fucking anal sex with this guy.
Let's put that holy spotlight on you, Father.
Yeah,
how about that?
And that's where, you know, he was the birth of the modern day Catholics. You know, he was like, guys, it's great, I promise. You're going to want this. You're going to want this. And it was just like, you know what?
Loved it.
He's got a good idea.
Yeah. Alistair loved it. Okay, he had a great time. With his newfound bisexuality, Crowley developed a relationship with a drag queen that was introduced to him at a point. You know, just on the streets. He introduced him to a social circle of like-minded individuals, you know, through his new drag queen partner here, which included the well-known author Oscar Wilde.
Ooh, we know he was...
rubbing elbows with Mr. Wilde.
We know he was a bit... something, you know, I guess you could say. He was a bit, a little something going on down there, but that's
awesome. Hey. He was a good guy. Apparently, real fucked up teeth.
I believe that.
Yeah, apparently, like, whenever he would talk, he would put his hand in front of his mouth so people couldn't see his teeth because they were just that bad.
Like one of those old school, like the Chinese geishas. They do like the and then they like cover their mouth, you know. They can't.
Is that what that's called, geishas?
Teeth. I don't know. I mean, I know geishas were a thing. I don't know if they necessarily did that. But
I don't know.
I know I've seen it somewhere.
I know the image you're describing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just the golden age of modern dentistry had not yet dawned on them, right?
No.
And on top of that, these guys are they just love fucking. They don't got time to worry about their teeth.
Who doesn't love it, you know? Aside from the people who don't. I don't know who you are, but whatever. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, man. You fucking
go for a walk. I
love
don't know what you do
love,
instead.
Man.
Yeah. Well, Crowley and Wilde did not get along, even though they were, they were both. They loved all the finer things, and they were rich, and they were, they both loved being bottoms, and but you'd think they get along, but they didn't. They just didn't.
Just to clarify really quickly, I'm sure that everyone out there can probably insinuate what that is, but if you don't know what a bottom is, it's just somebody that takes penis in the butt.
Yeah.
You're on the bottom in a homosexual sex scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call that. You take it in the butt. That's what a bottom is.
And from this story, all the research, it sounds great.
That's what they keep saying.
That's what they keep saying.
Everyone that I'm hearing from back in the day, they loved it.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get along, and Crowley is quoted in accusing Wilde of becoming gay as a career move.
Ooh.
So
he's ahead of his time, dude.
Super bigoted.
He's way ahead of his time.
Look at it. It's like, he just chose to do that. It's like, motherfucker, this guy could get executed if he's caught. Like, why would you just choose for your career? How does that make sense?
It's good to have this secret dangerous lifestyle.
I guess. Well, Oscar did not pay much mind to Crowley. He really didn't give a fuck about Crowley because he was a nobody. But this didn't matter much because Crowley and his drag queen lover soon broke up, sending him into a spiraling depression, forcing him to actually attempt to put thought towards what he wanted to do with his life.
Okay. So it in a way, it helped him grow and develop, and then it also gave him a very positive spin after that, the negative emotion he felt.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good for him. It helped him grow up, I guess.
You got to live your life. Have some experiences you may not have thought you would have had before, but then you have them, you're like, oh. And now you're so sad. So you just got to mold your life after your past experiences.
Tell me this. Do you think that he lost his anal virginity in a cave? For some reason, that's what I feel like happened.
I don't think it was in Stockholm. So I'm just imagining a room.
I'm still getting a cave.
Yeah, like
I'm
a
still
bed,
getting
maybe.
A cave. There's something
there's
about
a guy
him.
there. There's him.
He's just like, this cave looks good. And that's just where it was,
No, he was becoming the cave,
Ooh, okay. Okay, I get you.
So yeah, he lost his drag queen lover. And now he's so depressed thinking about his life. He's toying around with the possibility of possibly becoming a diplomat of all things.
Okay.
Why? I don't know why, but he quickly realized that he had no desire to learn other languages, so he couldn't really do that.
Again, that's a barrier you're going to have to cross.
Another brick wall, yeah.
You're going to have to go to other countries and talk to new people. He's like, why can't they all just sound like me,
How about they? Why can't they damn it, there's no R's in that sentence. Ambassador. Yeah, something like that.
I really want.
They wouldn't be able to understand him anyway. With that, they're just like, I can't understand your accent.
What's this guy fucking talking about over here?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he didn't want to learn the languages. He can't pronounce ours. He didn't want to be a diplomat after all. But after much thinking, he came to the realization that what he wanted to do more than anything was to be known and remembered. You know, he's kind of getting a little...
Getting a big head.
Yeah, a little bit of a big head there. But rather than, a profession, he's like, I just want to be remembered. And I want everyone to know me while I'm here.
I mean, yeah, I guess some people want that, but I feel like it's a lot harder to get than you think.
Very much so. And he didn't just want to be known and remembered. It's like he thought the physical world itself, it was too fickle to, like, promise an eternal remembrance.
Oh, yeah, I mean, think of, like, U.S. presidents. It's like, I was born, raised, and I still live in the United States of America. There's probably about 10 presidents that I just have no idea they ever existed. And, like, at the time of them taking the job, they were probably like, I will go down in history as the president. It's like, everybody fucking forgot you. If your name wasn't written down on some piece of parchment somewhere, we would have never realized who the fuck you were.
Yeah. If you're not on my money, fuck off.
Pretty much. It's like, I'm sorry to tell you, man, but
I
you
need
just
the
you just didn't do anything for us, It's like we don't really feel, or like even think like the Romans. Think of all the forgotten leaders of the Romans that were just like, I will be remembered. It's like, nah, literally no one knows you existed.
Most like historical big like monument things. I don't even know who them shits are for.
Yeah, I'm like,
like what? It's just a big ass fucking shape.
It's a big fucking...
it's like, it's crazy that they did it way back then. Why'd they do that?
Yeah, like, oh, really cool.
It's like, their leader. Home? It's like, do you know his name? It's like, no. It's like, you're the tour guide. It's like, yeah.
How come this Coliseum
no one
doesn't
knows.
have free Wi-Fi?
I don't have any Wi-Fi in this tomb.
Yeah, like...
Who's this guy? Fuck off. You just sit on him.
There's not a fucking Starbucks in the Vatican. Like, what the fuck? There
Where's
probably
the
is,
gift
honestly.
shop? There's probably so many fucking just luxuries in the Vatican.
The Vatican's
fucking solid gold chairs for geriatric ass.
They're just like, oh, you want to be closer to God? Why don't you slip us a 50 and we'll just, let you go do that.
So, he was like, the physical world is too fickle to promise eternal remembrance. To him, even if he was, like, remembered as a great poet, because, still he wants to be a poet, he was like, I'll be forgotten in a century or so, that's how that goes. No, okay? He knew that he had to gain attention and immortality, in memory's sense, through spirituality. He wanted to transcend even the destruction of planet Earth and all humanity to be remembered spiritually by the God of his youth, by opposing him. This is why he wanted to find the ultimate unforgivable sin. Because even if he fucks up at the end of his life and he's like, oh God, I'm going to repent, I'm going to get forgiven. If he does this unforgivable sin, it's like a fail-safe. It's nothing like his rock climbing, This is a safety net for him to not be forgiven. It's all very confusing and convoluted. But,
yeah, okay.
But it's Alistair.
Yeah, I okay. I'll just accept what
We'll have to unpack that because that's the end of my notes today.
Yeah.
So we can just spend the rest of the time unpacking that.
Yeah, well, see, first and foremost, obviously there's going to be plenty more to come. You guys will certainly see where that takes us.
Already this guy's living more of a life than probably 3 people who've lived 70-year lives. He's got a bunch of stuff in there.
Oh, yeah. And we decided to cut the episode here today because once we get into this next part, it just kind of steamrolls into itself further. Yeah. And it's impossible. We're not going to sit here and make a 3-hour episode.
No, yeah. I mean, even the notes I have for today are kind of scattered, and I want to really iron out and hammer down what I'm going to say about what exactly he's doing with magic because it is very complicated and very much requires precise explanation.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is,
And it'll be good to get out on the head, of next episode. But
yeah, so that's where we're gonna leave Crowley for the day. But I guess what I don't really know how to feel about that statement, because you know what I'm getting here. It feels very Darth Vader-y. It's just like, I can't be what I want to be, so I'll be the opposite of what I want to be, and everybody's going to love me for it. I've never seen Star Wars, so if that's completely wrong, you could yell at me, that's fine.
Well,
but
he's just... Yeah, you're wrong, but...
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. I wasn't listening. I zoned out.
That's fine. I understand.
Thinking about Alistair.
I understand.
His deep eyes.
Either way, I'm getting some weird fucking... It's very childish in that sense. Like, well, if I can't have it, I'll just do the opposite of that.
And then I'll blame the maid.
Yeah, he's he's a tool. He's a tool.
But he wants to be remembered.
I mean...
Beyond physicality. We are talking about him. We're immortalizing him on the internet.
It's true.
Sound waves, motherfucker.
It's true. We certainly aren't talking about him. Probably not in the way he would like. I'm sure if he could hear what we're saying right now, he would probably be doing some really ridiculous things to us.
He would say, Gwent, Jake.
Yeah, he'd say that, and we would just start laughing, and he'd get so pissed, and it would just be adorably hilarious. And that's just what it would be.
We'd like trip him and like stuff like that.
We'd have a good laugh at him, just be like, "You're fucking goofball, you idiot," and he'd be like, "Stop."
What's up, cue ball rich boy idiot?
He'd be like, "Give me some of your dad's money." And he's like, "No, I want to take it in the butt." And then he'd be like, "Ooga booga boo, I'm gonna put a hex on you," and then we'd be fucking dead. That's what it is.
Yeah, put a spell on you. Now you're his. Okay?
Ooh.
There you go. Well,
I can say this.
The more I'm starting to realize this wasn't a very scary episode for the Halloween.
No, it wasn't.
But it's the start of something maybe frightening.
But see, this is the reason I like this, because we did the whole month leading up to Halloween, and now we're getting into something real. It has that real fear aspect to it. A ghost story is a ghost story. It spooks you and you're like, oh, whatever, but then you don't think about it. This has a little bit more meat on it, because you're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Probably the last thing I would want to mention about Alistair at this point, we talked about his poetry. He had a little book called White Stains, which was a collection of poems that he wrote.
About semen?
There was semen. There was a lot of semen, and there was also pee drinking and poop consuming, and then also having sex with the Christ our Lord Jesus on the cross.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it.
So that's a bit of the direction we're going. One of the poems is him, sucking Jesus' feet, and, so he's like, ooh, they're fresh from the road, and, and he's, eating shit right out of Jesus' ass, and then he's kissing Jesus with it in his mouth.
That is, again, that's an internet video. He likes it.
And I don't know, it sounds like it's definitely a unique poem,
It's up there with one of the weirder ones that's ever existed. I can certainly say that.
You don't like feet sucking Jesus?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it, but I'm also very curious as to
I'm pretty sure he referred to the poop as steaming globes or something like that. And he was like, hot from its home, so sacred or some shit like that. So that's kind of what his poetry is about. Maybe next week I'll get some of his full poems that we can read.
This is the question I want to leave our listeners with, okay? Brace yourselves. I want you to understand this. Is the defecation of Jesus Christ holy?
It came from the holiest of holes.
Is it, though? It's still waste. It's still waste. Is it holy?
How dare you call Jesus Christ our Lord waste?
Think about it. Just think about it.
That was inside of him one time.
Well, you know how they have in churches, they'll have the bones or teeth of like a saint or something. So maybe they'd have the shit of Jesus. I have no idea.
Just like petrified shit logs from. It's like, this is Jesus's dump. It's like, all right.
His dump. Why does that sound so derogatory?
You want to see the Jesus dump? Keep it in the back.
This is God's poopy. It's in a bag.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched. We're fucking eating his flesh and drinking his blood.
That's true.
So much cannibalism. Why not just eat the stuff that comes out of the live Jesus?
At least it's it's a
Yeah,
renewable
it's
resource.
the holiest of chocolates. That might be the sin, is mixing that into milk.
Ooh.
Maybe the milk of a goat. Oh, what a Satanist symbol.
With all that being said,
Yeah, Alistair wanted to eat his poop, Jesus's, you know?
that is effectively our episode for the day.
It really is. And as you could probably tell, we haven't even scratched the fucking surface, okay? This guy's
absolutely not.
insane. We're not going to talk as long about butt sex, but it will come up again. And he's a piece of shit millionaire guy. He writes poems. He's great. He's a magician. Oscar Wilde didn't like him. He didn't really pay much mind.
He's the creepy, sexually charged Elon Musk of his time.
Maybe.
And instead of going to space, he's trying to meet God.
Yeah.
That's just what that's
so
what
we
it
can
is.
French him with poopy mouth.
Yeah, get that the pious poop, you know what I'm saying?
Poop lick. Yeah.
But we will be back next week with part 2 of Mr. Crowley, and we will.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say probably gonna be a 3-parter.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning.
Yeah.
I would say definitely be ready for 3. That's probably where we're gonna end up here, but you will not be disappointed at all. I promise you, it's gonna be a good time. You're gonna.
It will be.
We love you all very much. Have a great Halloween and a great start to your November.
Scare some people. Do some things that scare you. Ooh. Maybe once a day. Isn't that some sort of motivational thing that people say? It's like, do a thing scares you every day.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that mean?
You know, like, I don't know, take it in the butt or something.
I'm afraid of the extent to which I can hurt another human being. Should I do that?
Try it.
Should I do that?
Just try it.
It's like, yeah, I'm way bigger than I think I am.
No, you are. You are.
I
You don't
feel like I
accept
picture
it.
myself as like I'm 5'8" and just a normal guy, but I'm like a huge human being.
Yeah, you could.
And I like accidentally do a lot of stuff, like bump into doors, hit my head.
Jake, you
all
could
these things.
single-handedly go into a bus full of school children and successfully kill all of them without a single bite mark entering your skin.
What with V-darts nowadays and all these kids packing guns? A lot of kids have guns at school now.
Well, maybe a British
like.
school where they don't have guns, you know?
We got the knives. Can I have a knife too?
Australian schools, they can't do anything. They're just like, if they're not on fire, they're being attacked by wildlife, you know?
Well, do I have like a time limit?
No, you just gotta fight
I just
the
have
kids.
to kill all these kids. Okay.
Yeah, the bus driver just kind of watches and just like, oh, whatever happens here.
All right then. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how we got on me being larger than most people, but we are starting a cult. That's Grant Up Jake, and Mitch was here. You can follow us on all the stuff. It's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube. And there's a link below for the Patreon episodes. It's going to be a new one coming at you on Thursday. All right, and I'm also going to Boston next weekend, so we're going to have to pre-record some shit. All right, so just know that's ahead in your future, everybody.
Yes, people.
Patreon down below. And email, startacult@gmail.com. Let us know if any of this in the episode resonated with you in any way.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, goodbye.
Bananas!